Hey everybody, Lo-Fi here, back at it again with another review on the Mezco 112 Superman. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this is my favorite Superman figure. And my favorite Mezco figure of all time. And it kind of goes into like the look and the accessories because this is probably one of the most classic looks of Superman. And he is just really great. I love this figure so much. And if it seems like there's snags or wear on the figure, it's because I mess with him around so much. He has really good articulation, and I'm just gonna get right into the look. So first I'll go off with the head sculpt. Let me pop that off so you guys can see that a little better up close. And let's see if he will focus. There we go. Okay. And he has kind of like a little smirking head sculpt, like just a little smile, you know, because Superman should mostly be smiling. He's a pretty happy character, and whenever I get action figures where Superman's not smiling, I'm like, that's kind of the most iconic part of him. And then he has like the hair. There isn't really a whole lot of painted detail, but there's a lot of sculpted detail. You can see all the individual like detents in there, and this is one of the first Mezco figures to implement the new ball in the head socket situation, and that's mainly for light up features and special features that Mezco has like continued to do. All right, and let's bring him in for the look. Okay, so start off with the head, but I'll go right down to the boots. So the boots do have a little bit of sculpted detail up here. You can see a little line work right there. And you can see a little bit of like tightness or wear in the boots, like he's been putting them on and wearing them for a little bit. You can see like these little stretch marks in there. And he has some detail, some treads at the bottom of the feet. And I think they have like little triangle designs in there. And a lot of line work. You can see lines right there throughout the boot. And around where the sole is. And that looks really nice. And then going up, it's just a basic blue bodysuit with the underwear on the outside. And you can see this belt, and it has the little yellow belt buckle and the lines where it would be put in. And they're painted fairly well, and you can see the stitching right there for the trunks wrapping around the belt. And that's very nice. And then you can see more stitching. And then we get up to the logo. And people have talked about this logo. Some people say it's not big enough. Some people say it's too small. I think it's fine for what it is. Much like most people, I'm not super crazy about the black outlining around the edge of the S symbol. But I don't mind it. It's a solid S shield. And, you know, he's Superman, so I don't mind it at all. And the cape is wired, and it's the soft wire that I feel like is not going to break over time. And it's very nice, and I like being able to pose my capes however I want to. I like this, and I like the Supreme Knight Batman because he also comes with a wired cape. I really like the wired capes now more than ever, and I wish more figures had them. And I wish the old Sovereign Knight Batman had that cape. I see some people put mods on those figures to where they have wired capes. Oh, also, here's the back S shield. But I love a good wired cape. And now getting into the articulation, this figure has really good articulation. I don't know what body mold this figure uses, but I like it. So the head can look up about this far. It can look up decently high, so he can get into some good flight poses. He can look down about, he can look down about that far, decently far. And since the ball is in the head, the neck joint doesn't have, it's a little stiff, so there's not like an insane amount of articulation, but most of it is in the ball right here, so he can do more of the pivoting and all that. It is a little loose when you're moving it around sometimes, so it can get a little aggravating when you're trying to like pose him around and the head pops off. And moving on to the arms can go up about, if I push it, about that high, which is really good. Some people don't push their figures to go that high, and they'll just go right to the limit, which is fine. because they don't want their figures to break, and his arms can go up about this high. But I like to push my figures and get them into really dynamic poses. And then he has bicep swivel, which is a little stiff. And then he has double jointed elbows that go in about more than 90 degrees. It can go in about that far, which is really, really impressive. And then he has the swivel joint here that can rotate and do all that good stuff. Put that back there. And this suit is a really good material, by the way. I don't feel like it's gonna rip. Most Mezco is really good at their suits. Doesn't feel like it does snag a bit, but it's only because I handle this guy so much. And then he can look, and then his torso can go back about this far, which I think is really, really good. It can crunch in about this far, and then he has good rotation. My rotation is a bit looser because I play with this guy so much. Love messing with this Superman. And then his legs can kick up about this high, and his legs can go out about, let me see, can go out about this far. And the suit does offer a lot of freedom. Then he has thigh rotation right there, which is very nice. And then he has double jointed knees that can go on about this far. Not as far as the Spider-Man, but still very good. And then if I bend this back, he can go in about this far. He doesn't have boot rotation, but he does have a ball at the ankle, which can cause it to rotate and go down and up a little bit. And then he can pivot. And that's all the articulation. This guy is super awesome. If you want to get him into a flight pose, real quick, let me get him into a Superman-esque flight pose. Just get some embellishment with the cape, and you can have him up and away. Very, very cool. Yeah, this guy can get into a bunch of good Superman poses. All right, let me set him back up, and then let's get into what should I get into next? Let me get into the alternate hands. Now, unlike the Spider-Man, this is before they had the little plastic trays for the hands, much like the Wolverine, so bear with me. So he comes with a pair of flight hands, and they do have a little bit of detail, a little bit of skin detail, wrinkle detail within the hands. And I think some of them have like little flecks and just like, I don't know if you guys can see that detail. My light might be a little too bright, but there are little like flecks in there, little blemishes in the hands, and it just looks really nice. And then he also comes with a pair of open hands, more like lifting car hands, I would say, or like attacking hands. And he also comes with a pair of gnarled hands, like kind of like open hands, but also kind of like sort of relaxed hands, but I'll show you what I mean in a second when I mean like gnarled hands, like grabby hands, like attack hands. And then he has a pair of gripping hands, which is also very neat. Let's see, and then let me get into some effects pieces. So he comes with some punching effects that you can put on his knuckles, and they have a little slit in them, so that way you can slide them on and have it look like when he's punching, there's like an effect, like he's putting a lot of power behind that punch. So it's like pow. You know what I mean? Look at that. So he's like punching out Luthor's lights or something, or having a tussle with Bizarro. And that's cool. Okay, so it comes with his punching effects. He also comes with some laser beam effects. So he has a angry laser effect and a narrow laser effect with a little bit at the end like he's making contact with somebody. And how can you put these in? With one of the alternate heads. And let me show you some of the alternate heads he comes with. So the first one I'll show off is the angry head for the laser eyes. It's a little empty. And so what you would do is you take the laser beam effect. You would plug that in. Let me see if I put it in right. I think I put it in right. I might have put it in upside down. So plug that in, and it looks like he is laser beaming somebody. It's like... Then he also comes with the angry effect that you can also plug in. Like when he's telling Mongol to burn. Put this head in. He's like... And that's awesome. He also comes with a stern head sculpt. More of a stern look on his face. Comes with a smiling head sculpt, which is more smiley than this head sculpt. I'll show you guys. This one's like a light, friendly smile, and this is like a big smile, like a showy smile. Like, I am enjoying my existence. And he should. He's Superman. Then he comes with a angry head sculpt, much like the laser eyes head sculpt, but with actual eyes this time. Like Darkseid just killed Dan Turpin face. That's what that is. Then he comes with this head sculpt, which is more of a surprised head sculpt. More of like a gasp head sculpt. And then finally he comes with this head sculpt, which his eyes are really clear. I wonder why. It's almost like there's a switch at the bottom right there, and you guys know how this goes. Take your little Mezco key, and you just slide it across, and his head lights up. Let me turn this off real quick. And then let me turn this off real quick so you guys can see that better. And that looks cool. It looks very cool. And if you have the Mafex Hush Superman, what I did is I just took the leaf parts from that Superman and put them on this Superman with this head, and it just looked really, really cool. So I could recreate Hush, but for Mezco. Turn that back on. Turn that back on. And let me turn this off. And that is all the head sculpts. And then he comes with a couple more things, but more memorable Superman items. For example, kryptonite. He comes with a bunch of kryptonite effects, and by kryptonite effects I mean he just comes with a bunch of kryptonite. Yellow kryptonite, red kryptonite, white kryptonite, blue kryptonite, and green kryptonite. I can't remember what they all do. I know red kryptonite makes Superman angry. Yellow kryptonite, I can't remember what that does. I wonder if it has the same effect as the yellow sun. Can't remember what yellow kryptonite does. Blue kryptonite works on Bizarro. Green kryptonite weakens Superman. And white kryptonite, I'm just not sure what white kryptonite does. You can post it in the comments, though. Another thing I forgot to mention was that he comes with some bullet ricochet effects. Much like the older Mezco Superman, which I don't own personally, but I wish I did for that Bottled City of Kandor. And what you can do is you can stick them to his chest, and his chest has little magnets in it, so it looks like bullets are bouncing off of him, which is very, very cool. I like that they kept that accessory. I don't need the Bottled City of Kandor, but I would love if someone sold that separately. I would love to add this to this Superman. And I don't need the chain effects because I have the McFarlane Superman, so I can just use those. And then I just do this, and he's like, Bam, 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 bam. Man, these bullets aren't even hurting. They're tickling. Superman. Okay. And that's cool. And then he also comes with another cool accessory for those gripping hands, those actual grabby hands. And that is for the Phantom Zone projector, which I was pretty amazed that they actually included this. I'm like, wow, I have not gotten this accessory with any Superman figure, the Phantom Zone projector. And this is made out of like a clear resiny plastic that they put over it. And you can send your enemies to the Phantom Zone. I thought of like a funny photo op idea of Superman just sending random superheroes into the Phantom Zone that he deems dangerous, like Batman. Just being like, sorry, Bruce, there was no other way. Just beams him into the Phantom Zone. Or Batman putting Superman into the Phantom Zone like he did in Injustice. So, that's cool. Yeah, this is really cool. It's got a little sculpted detail. It's painted with this silvery plastic. That's really neat. He also comes with some aliens. And by some aliens, I mean like some alien foliage. Like the Black Mercy. And this was from the Superman comic book for the Man Who Has Everything. If I flip this around, there's a little chess piece. And what you can do is you can take this Black Mercy. Mongol used this to trap Superman and get his deepest desires, while Mongol was going to take over the Earth. So what you do is you take this and you wrap this around, and this figure, and this little Black Mercy has bendy wire in its little tendril, so you can wrap it around Superman and have it to where he is being trapped by the Black Mercy and having his truest desires revealed to him. And after the and if this is removed, it is a sense of extreme pain, like tearing off your own arm, as Mongol would put it. And this is really, really cool. I'll actually give him the super smiling head sculpt because he's having his desires revealed to him. Where's that at? A lot of head sculpts. So he'll just be there like this. And that's cool. That's cool. I'll pull that off. And he comes with one final accessory, which is one of my favorite accessories because it's so versatile and what you can use it for. And this will be a Starro Spore from Starro the Conqueror. And what you can do, excuse me, is you can take, what I like to use is this head sculpt. You plug that in, and then you take this, you put that on. Well, you put that on. You have them like that, and you can take the relaxed or open hands, and you can do something like this. And the other reason the Superman works so well is because of how many like things he can go with. He can go with your modern Justice League. He can go with your classic Justice League. He can even go with the Two-Face Superman, or Batman, I mean. Sorry. He can go with so much, like your Silver Age stuff, your modern stuff, your classic comic booky stuff. He's such a great Superman figure, and I think he just works with everything. You can have him like that. Do something. Tuck this in and just have him be like grabbing for you. I wish they would have sold just more of these just individually. I wish DC would have just let Mezco just drop a bunch of these, because this Starro Spore can actually fit on other figures, and I can show that in a minute. But first, let me pop this off, and let me give him his regular head sculpt real quick, and I will get into some size comparisons. And I have a lot of size comparisons because I was just like, I feel like the Spider-Man one was a little too light. on size comparisons, so I will do my best to do a bunch here. So I will stand him up straight, and I will get right into that. I think first I'll do all the Superman figures, and then I'll go into Superman villains, and then Justice League stuff. So let me get him stood up straight, and we will get right into that. I will see you guys in a minute. Now, here he is with all of the McFarlane Supermen in my collection. Well, these aren't all of them, but all of the different types of body molds that have come out. And as you can see, Superman, the Mezco one, is the shortest one because these are all 7-inch scale figures and he is a 6-inch scale figure. So I knew that they were all going to be taller than him. It was just kind of just seeing him with all of the other Superman figures. I just thought that'd be kind of goofy, kind of wacky. So that's what he looks like with all of them. Here's Action Comics. Like I said, they are all just taller than him, so I just kind of wanted to give you guys a frame of reference of how he would size up with the other Superman. This wasn't like a true size comparison for all of these because it wouldn't be fair because he's just big. They're all just big. Let me show you what he's like next to some more 6-inch scale Superman figures in just a second. Okay, and here's some more 6-inch scale figures to go with him. These are all Mafex figures. I have the Hush Superman, the Snyder Cut Superman, and the Dark Knight Returns Superman. Now, they're all in relative good scale with him. I think the Hush one is probably the best example. They both stand almost exactly the same. I think Mezco Superman is just a touch taller than him. And then the Snyder Cut Superman is also about the same height. Maybe just a tad shorter than the Hush Superman. And then, Superman. Saving the day from the ground. Yeah, they're about the same. Just a tad smaller than the Mezco, just even by a hair. Because these two are also roughly the same height. Let me put those back there. And then the Dark Knight Returns Superman is obviously just a little taller. Again, they're all almost the exact same height. I think on camera right here, the perspective is that he's taller, which he is. He is just a little bit taller, but he's also a bit more muscular than the Superman because he's had years to bulk up off of solar radiation. So that's all those size comparisons. And I'll show you guys some Superman villains as well. I'll be right back. Okay, so here he is with some other villains. Now, these are my McFarlane villains. These are ones that I could kind of fudge, like Bizarro can just be a huge genetic experiment. So I can kind of see how he could be, like, bigger than Superman. I mean, he's usually not this big, so, I mean, if you're creative with it, then it should work out fine. And then Lobo, which can be any size that the writers want him to be. I mean, just based off of the Storm Collectibles and Justice one, which people like to use. This works, I think. You can have him fight Lobo. I don't have the newest McFarlane Lobo. I did kind of want him, but I had this one, so I was like, I guess I don't need to spend that much money on him. The Lex Luthor, there's no real excuse of why Lex would be this big unless he's in, like, a giant power suit. So, I mean, the power suit excuse is kind of like, yeah, he just made himself a bit taller. So, again, kind of works, but this one will be a little harder to fudge. If you had the DC Collectibles one where he's in the giant mech, I think that one would work best. But that's me. And then Mongol just works. Mongol can be huge. He can be a big guy. He can be an imposing figure. This works. This 100% works. I think another one that would work would be the DC Multiverse Doomsday, which I don't have. That one is so hard to find right now, but I would absolutely buy him in a heartbeat if I could. The only other Superman I didn't compare it to was the new Mezco recovery suit because I didn't pre-order that one. And it's made out of the same material as the Mezco black suit Spider-Man, and that ended up peeling on me, so I just didn't want to go through that whole thing again. But yeah. I have about 2 more villain comparisons, and then I'll have some Justice League comparisons for you guys. So give me just a second. It's everybody's favorite supervillain, Dwayne Johnson. Just kidding. It's Black Adam. So this is just because of the Black Adam movie why I'm doing this, but also because it looks cool. It's a cool matchup. It's very nice looking. They look great together, and Black Adam is just a little taller than Superman, just a little bit. So when they square up, he's just a bit taller. He's got that magic power. And then finally, for all of my villains, it's Superman's greatest enemy, Darkseid. And I know he's not Superman villain in the traditional sense, but if you watch Superman the animated series, then you know why that I set him up with Superman. And Darkseid is also very tall compared to Superman, but it makes for an awesome matchup. It makes for a great pairing. And these guys look awesome in photos together. I've taken so many photos of the Superman before, and I've taken photos with him in Darkseid and all that. It's great. It always looks great. All right. So finally, I will get into my Justice League. I have a bunch of Mezco DC characters. So I think I'll get into Batman first, and then I'll just get into the whole league. I'll just do group shots. All right, so stay tuned, and I'll grab everybody real quick. It's going to take a minute. Okay, so the next size comparison I'm doing is the Mezco Batman. So the first one I'm going to do is the Silver Age, or the Silver Age Batman. And these guys look awesome together. If you've read Batman, Superman's World's Finest, this is what it reminds me of, even though this isn't the exact Batman that was used. It just reminds me of the older, 30s and 40s propaganda comic books. That's what this reminds me of. This is an awesome pairing. I love this so much. This is so great in photos. I could add that Wonder Woman out there to do the Trinity. I might do that in a second, actually, when I get all the Justice League figures out. But yeah, these guys look awesome together. And the next pairing I will do is with the Sovereign Knight Previews exclusive. And they also look awesome together. And this Batman will come in handy later with that old Kryptonite Knuckle Duster. But these guys also look awesome together. This is more like the World's Finest comic book. But the blue on this Batman is a little darker than I would have liked it to be, because I was expecting more of a Neil Adams type thing, but I feel like the blue's just a tad too dark. But these guys also look awesome together. Batman's dark and brooding. Feel like it fits here. And then the final one I'll be comparing to, I do have the Ascending Knight, but I just didn't want to pop them out because I, again, have so many of these to get through. And then here is the Supreme Knight. And this is where you get your Dark Knight Returns stuff from. That's what this reminds me of. And this Batman is a bit taller than Superman. I feel like his boots he raised a little bit, so he could be a bit more imposing than Superman. And I want to do a video on this Batman in particular because of how much stuff he comes with, and I just like how cool this Batman is. I also just love the Dark Knight Returns comic book. It's one of my favorite comic books of all time. But these guys look great together, and the only reason I say that is because Superman doesn't really age that much, and they're both roughly kind of the same build now. I mean, this Batman's a bit bigger, and I like the idea of an older Batman. This Batman's been around for a while, just trouncing criminals in Gotham, and Superman's like, hey, bro, you're being a little brutal there, Bruce. And this Batman is seasoned. Anyway, getting off topic. Sticking with Superman, this is what these guys look like together, and it's really great. Now I will show the Justice League. I will show classic and modern versions of the League real quick, but I'll be right back with that. Here's Superman with the Justice League. You know what? Actually, I do have the Martian Manhunter from DC Multiverse. I just want to see what he looks like with these guys as well. Let me put him here. I know Jean will probably, well, he'll definitely be taller than everybody. So I'll just slide him in the back. Oh, he is so tall. Yeah, that does not work. I really wanted it to, though. Like, Jean is just too tall. If I just had him on his knees or something in the background, I don't think anyone would notice. If I just did this, just had Jean just be like that. Nope, that's not going to work either. I just really wanted that to work. Okay, but yeah, this is what the more classic Justice League would look like. And then I'll show you guys a modern rendition. And then this is a more modern Justice League. This one I thought was really good, really fun to do, mess around with. I just replaced Dr. Fate with John, you know, have it be a little darker. Replacing Shazam with Robin, Hal with John, Aquaman with Arsenal, having more of a street vibe for some of these characters. As the more modern days go on, everybody gets darker, all that type of stuff. Except Barry gets replaced with Wally because, you know, Crisis, I think, still happens. So the only thing that remains a universal constant is Superman, and I like that. No matter how dark the world gets, Superman stays bright. And this is what the Justice League looks like, and I like it. That's all the size comparisons I have for today. That's what everybody all kind of looks like. That's what everybody's all sized up to be. And that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoy the photos at the end. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, guys.